Two words that should never go together. Complex fractions. Fractions are hard enough, but now we're going to talk about complex fractions. A complex fraction is when you have a fraction in the numerator or denominator of a fraction. And I know you talked about these a little bit in 7th grade, but you just might not have gotten quite this quite this difficult. So here's the kind that you've talked about before: 2/3 over 5/6. So notice I have a fraction in the numerator and a fraction in the denominator. I want to try to simplify this. Well, this really means this: 2/3 divide by 5/6. So it could be 2/3 divide by 5/6. And we already know how to divide by a fraction. We multiply by the reciprocal of the second number. So when we see a complex fraction, we can simplify this by multiplying the numerator by the reciprocal of the denominator. And now I'm going to multiply just like I would any other fraction. First of all, I'm going to see that 3 and 6 reduces to 1 and 2. And now I'm going to multiply straight across. 4/5. And if you type that into the calculator and use the math button, you would get that same answer. However, we can't always use our calculator for these problems because we can't type ones in like the ones that I'm getting ready to talk about. Like this one. Let's work with the complex fraction 1 over x plus x plus 3 over x plus 3. Really, this is x plus 3 over 1 if we wanted to write it that way. So now there's a fraction in the numerator and denominator. Let's start with the numerator. Notice I have an addition problem. So I'm going to start by putting those together, and I see that they already have a common denominator. So I'm going to write the common denominator x and put the top together, x plus 4 over x plus 3 over 1. So I have a single fraction in the numerator and a single fraction in the denominator. So I'm going to take care of that by multiplying the numerator by the reciprocal of the denominator. So now when I multiply straight across, I have x plus 4 times 1, which is just x plus 4. And then on the bottom part, the denominator, I have x times x plus 3. And so this would be my answer. You could multiply the x times the x plus 3 in the denominator, but you might as well leave it like it is because that's how you'll find most answers on a standardized test. So there's no need to multiply it out. Let's do another example. X squared over 16 plus 3 over 16 over x squared. And since the numerator is a fraction, I'm going to go ahead and make the denominator a fraction. So on the top, it's addition. I already have a common denominator, so it's going to be x squared plus 3 over 16 over x squared over 1. So dividing by a fraction, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So now on top, I have x squared plus 3 times 1, which is just x squared plus 3. And on the bottom, I have 16x squared. Notice I cannot simplify the x squared and the 16x squared because this is a factor. It's all put together, so I can't just cancel parts. Here's another one. I'm going to kind of get a little more difficult here. So x minus 5 over 25 plus 1/5 over 1 over 25. So I can't multiply by the denominator yet because I have to simplify this down to one single fraction. So on the top part, I'm going to start by getting a common denominator, and the common denominator of 25 and 5 would be 25. And in order to get 25, I would have to multiply that times 5, so I'm going to multiply the numerator times 5. So on the top, I have x minus 5 plus 5 which is just x. And on the bottom, I have 1 over 25. So I have x over 25 over 1 over 25. And then I want to multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. And this one works out nice because now I have a 25 in the numerator and a 25 in the denominator. Those are going to cancel, so I'm left with x over 1 or just x.